Today is June 1st, 2008. I am Eric Mishnick, and it is a pleasure to conduct this interview for the Dakota Memories Oral History Project in Wishick, North Dakota. Can you please state your full name?
Wilbert Rath.
And when and where were you born?
In Magnuson County.
And what year was that?
In 1924, September 3rd.
Okay. Have you ever heard an interesting story about your birth?
Well, I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Okay. Was there a midwife or a doctor present?
At that time they had doctors who had to be out of the farm, right.
Could you share some of your earliest memories with us?
Well, when I was younger, I had to go when I was old enough to go go to school, and then the teacher hired me to come up early in the morning and then start the fire, so the schoolhouse was warm by the time the rest of them came. I got $7 a month, which I thought was a lot of money that time. And then I found out that I had to go to church, and that was a half a mile, and Sunday morning I go up there and make fire for the church. And so the church was warm. Things like that.
Okay.
When the people came, the church was nice and warm, and in school. But I didn't get paid for the church. I was volunteer work.
All right. Speaking of school, where did you go to school for grade school?
Well, we were 8 miles west of here. I went to school, and then finally we moved to up to Logan County, up northwest to the farm, and then I was promoted to the 6th grade here. And when I got up there, then the teacher didn't have no 3 grades, it had the 4th and 5th and the 6th. So she put me back to the 3rd grade class, and that's where I was lacking. And then I went out to the 7th grade and I quit. Because otherwise, some of these, my buddies, they all went to high school already then, and I just got disgusted and I wouldn't go anymore. But I did all right without it.
Okay. Was your grade school, is it a one-room schoolhouse?
One schoolhouse, yeah. I would have went to Wichita High School. Maybe I would have went to Napoleon, I don't know. I know my buddy went up to high school and started high school in Napoleon. And I would have been about the same grade then. So I didn't care if I should go anymore.
Were there any other buildings around your grade school?
Well, it was a horse barn. Sometimes they came and then tied their horse, or unhitched them and then put them in the barn.
Okay. How did you get to school?
Well, walked most of the time. Cold, really cold sometimes in the wintertime. Anyway, that's how we did it. And then when we moved up to that other place, that was only, I don't think that was a 1/4 mile, is it? But I could say, I just don't know how far it was. We went home for lunch in the afternoon. It was so close. So that's why.
When it snowed really bad, how would you get to school?
All the time. Didn't matter. If the teacher was there, we were there. And I had to fix the fire, so it was warm.
Okay. How many students were in your schools?
Well, I would say it's about 14 sometimes. Maybe a little bit more, sometimes less.
Were these students mainly German?
Mixed, I would say mixed German. There was a lot of German talking going on. We had to stay after school if you talked English, German. We had a YCL, the guys, one guy, he watched the voice, and if we talked German, and he wrote it on the blackboard, and then we had to stay in 15 minutes. And the girls the same way. Pretty soon one time I had so many names on that they couldn't keep up anymore, so they had to erase them and start over. The stuff was just talk German.
Were students who were German treated any differently from students who weren't German?
Pardon?
Were students who were German, were they treated any differently than students who weren't German?
Well, I don't think so. But it was one of those things that we were supposed to talk English. Yeah. And that was so easy to put German in without knowing.
What was the attendance like at your school?
Attendance?
Did students come most every day, or did they skip a lot?
Yeah, pretty well. So if you went to had all the schools, every day you got a trophy. For not missing a day.
What is your favorite memory about going to school?
Going to school? Well, we had a little lake there right beside the school. Took ice skates and skated after breaks in the afternoon and in the morning. Skating, sled riding once in a while. Wasn't bad. The ones that were further away, it was a little tougher, but it was handy for us. We got to go home and have hot lunches. And then we played ball in the afternoon when it was nice. Then we didn't go home because we didn't want to waste any time to play ball. Even the teacher helped play ball.
Okay. What other types of activities did you do like recess?
Well, I would say that was about it that I can remember. And when there were lakes, we went over on the lake, and one time we broke down. We got back late to the school class, but then we got hell. But that didn't happen too often.
What was your favorite subject?
Arithmetic. What you call that now?
Math.
That time it was arithmetic.
Why did you like that?
I just like the figures.
Were there any subjects that you disliked?
Well, I don't know. Geography wasn't that I like that too, geography. And then I don't know what the other ones I don't know. I can't remember anymore.
Did you have very much homework?
Not too much. The teacher wouldn't let us take anything home. We had to do it at school or not at all.
Do you know why she wouldn't let you take anything home?
I guess that was the way they did it years ago. I know, like on arithmetic, they used to have a book where the answers were in the back. Well, when adding, that was no problem. But subtracting and other things, other figures, they cut them out, so we didn't know, and then the teacher corrected them.
How many grades were at your school?
How many?
How many grades were taught at your school? Like, did you have first graders, second graders?
Sometimes we had up to 8, from 1st to 8. But that time when I started out there, when I got up there, I didn't have that 4th, and 5th, and 6th. They didn't have, so she put me back to the 3rd grade. I had to start all over again. But that was pretty tough.
When you were going to your first school, what types of food would you take for lunch?
For lunch, like a gallon pail with bread and butter, syrup, and sausage, homemade sausage. That was the lunch.
And then when you went home for lunch, what would you eat?
Then we sneaked some more lunch. Usually when she baked bread, then we ate bread, cut a slice and put butter on it, sugar. We ate that, sugar bread.
Did you have any books at home to read?
Books? Yeah, we had some books, but not the ones that were for the school. Some like funny books and stuff like that.
Do you remember what any of those books were?
Well, right off the hand, I couldn't tell you right now.
Did you ever get into any trouble at school?
Oh, sometimes. If you didn't listen, you had to stay after school. Depends on what kind of teacher you had.
How many different teachers did you have?
Oh, that's pretty hard to say. I'd say about. I know one year we had 3 different teachers. I didn't stay in there, so we got somebody else. Something like that. I don't know. I'd say about 12 different teachers.
Were they mainly men or were they mainly women?
I'd say about half. The women were better teachers than the men. We had one out on the boy, and she was tough. She came when it was recess. She was out playing with us and this and that. But when it was school time, then it was action.
Was it hard for you to learn English?
No, it's just one of those things. Like now, I barely talk German. I still can talk German, but it doesn't bother me at all. If you get started in German, you don't quit. Stories, jokes, something like that, they just sounded better in German than in English.
Did you tell a lot of jokes when you were in grade school?
Oh, we did.
Did you ever play any practical jokes on anybody?
Not that I can't remember.
Did you ever have any programs, such as like Christmas?
Oh yes,
Halloween?
we had that. We had that every year, a Christmas program. And in the evening we had to play. The school was just packed. That was a big deal for our local school out in the farm, the country, I meant to say.
Were you ever in any of the programs?
Not anymore.
What did you do in school for Valentine's Day?
Golly. We had Valentine candy, I know that. Then we had some other things that we put an apple, we all washed up and had water in it and put an apple in and we had to catch it with their mouth. But I can't remember what the hell. I think that was in Halloween, I think.
How important was getting an education to your family?
Say that again.
How important was getting an education to your family?
They didn't care. They didn't care. Their children seemed to stay home and do the chores instead of going to school.
All right. Speaking of chores, did you have any chores that you like to do?
Well, no, not really, but I had to do the milking and feed the cattle and stuff like that, and the calves. That was the old routine all the time, every day. I remember one time we weren't old enough yet, then folks got company. So me and Walter, my brother, went out and we did the chores for Dad. So we went out and we did it without him knowing. And then so when the company left, and then Dad said, "Yeah, I got to go out and do the chores." Then I said, "We don't have to. We did it all." So we said, "Huh?" And he went on. Look, from there on, we always had to do the chores.
Were there any chores that you really didn't like to do?
Well, not really. It was just the one routine that we had to do: feed the cattle and milk and clean the barn and stuff like that. It was a daily job. I mean, just evenings and mornings.
Who did the cooking and cleaning in your house?
Well, we had to do it once. Well, when me and Walter were the oldest ones. One week he did it, and one week I did it. Helped Mom out. The upstairs we always had to clean. The boys had to clean the rooms. We had to iron our own shirts because we didn't like the way Mom ironed them. The collars had to just be so.
How would you iron your shirts? What would you use?
With an iron, hot iron.
And how would you heat that up?
In the stove.
Did you ever have to help with the family garden?
No, very little. Very little. Mother did that.
Did your dad ever help with the household tasks?
No. His chores were outside.
Did you have was there a difference in chores between the summer and the winter?
Well, if they had the milk cows in the barn, there was more work than the summertime. Dad never helped milk, unless he really had to. We had to do it.
Were you ever hired out to work for somebody else?
I did work out, like construction. When they built a hospital here in Wishick, I helped there, and some other kinds of work. I mean, carpenter work, help build houses.
Were those usually neighbors or relatives?
Yeah, there too. Then I worked on buildings for a while, roofing and siding. Then I come back and did something else. I helped Dad farm again.
Okay.
That's the work I liked, roofing and siding. I worked with all the new construction, new roofing. Got on there, boy, it was just like gravy.
All right, we'll switch to your daily life a little bit. Could you tell me about the house that you grew up in?
Where I grew up in the house, I don't know.
How many rooms did it have?
Well, the first one we had, there was only three rooms. And that one was just a kind of a building was built on a little bit in the wintertime, and there was no heat. So where we're inside where the warm place was the front room and the kitchen. Then we hurry up, had to run out and get underneath the quilts. There was this feather tills. That's what kept us warm. And then we had a little dog, and he sneaked underneath. He wanted to be warm too.
Did you have very many pets?
Huh?
Did you have very many pets?
That was the one we had. But years ago, when we moved up there, we had a bunch of rabbits and cats and dogs, and they were all together. And when we came home at night, they were laying sitting in the yard, and all different colors of eyes, and God, was that nice to see. But the dogs were nice to them too, but they didn't want to kill them, but they were sort of rough with them, and then they killed a few of the rabbits. I mean, but it was really something to see like that. The dogs, the cats, and the rabbits, they were all together. Then finally, the cats, I mean the rabbits got less because the dogs were too rough with them. It's not that they wanted to kill them; it was just wanted them to treat them really rough, and they couldn't handle that.
Where did everyone sleep in the house?
Well, when we moved up there, we slept on upstairs, and there we had 3 rooms, and 1 bedroom downstairs for folks.
And when you moved to the second place,
That's the one I'm talking about, to the second place. Then it was just different. So,
and was your upstairs heated?
yeah, no, at first it wasn't. We had a furnace down there and a chute, and the heat went right up there. But it was always nice and warm up there. Then later on we put a furnace in and chutes, and then it was warm.
Did your family try to do anything to keep the house cool in the summers?
Oh yeah. Well, in the summertime we had a summer kitchen. We were always over the summer kitchen in the evenings when we slept at the house.
And what's a summer kitchen?
Just 1 room. Just 1 room. That's where we ate, and sometimes we slept over there, a few, but not too many. We usually were at the big house. It was so that you didn't mess up the big house, so they didn't have to do any cleaning and stuff like on the weekends.
Would your family entertain guests at your house?
Oh yeah, quite a few. Yeah, the neighbors got together now. Usually on a Saturday night they had a little party. About 6 or 7 couples, something like that.
And what types of things would they do?
Lunch, beer, whiskey. I don't not much whiskey, but beer and good lunch.
Did your family brew their own beer?
No, I did one time. I did it for the simple reason where I had some pigs, and I had young ones, so I put some stuff at the feet, so the old one couldn't get up, and she was crawling around there, and the little they were nipping like crazy. And by the time she got sobered up, then the young ones were big enough.
Where did they get their beer then?
They bought it in the town on Saturday nights. That time it was cheap.
What language was usually spoken at home?
Mixed, English and German. I know when it come down to jokes, they talk about that they said it in German.
How often did you take baths?
Well, that was not bad. We didn't have no bath. I mean, a shower. We had a little building right beside the windmill and the water pump there. Then we put ourselves a 50-gallon barrel outside and piped it in, and then we took showers that way. That was the start. And the heat, that always got warm in the summertime.
What about in the winter?
No, I didn't use it in the winter. Then we used to use the bathtub. We had a portable bathtub.
And where did you get the water for the bathtub?
Oh, we made it. She made it. My mother made it hot, and then she poured it in, and so it was lukewarm.
When you had to take baths, did you have to share the water?
Sometimes.
Did you have a particular bathing order?
No, not really.
Did your mothers did they make their own soap?
She did for a while, and then she bought other soap. I mean,
Do you remember how she made her soap?
God, I don't know. I think they used. I just have no idea how they made it. I know when she cut it, it was just like a bar and white, and she kind of peeled it when put it in the washing machine. We still had a single top. Then later on, she got a double part. That worked much better.
Okay. How often were you supposed to brush your teeth?
That depends on if we did or not.
What would you use for toothpaste?
Hammer soda. That was pretty rough. That cleaned them.
Who usually prepared the meals in your family?
Ma.
And what were some of the food that she prepared for you?
Oh, the varied a little bit, quite a bit. Chicken, and sometimes we had pork and sausage and beef, a lot of beef. I butchered, and so we had beef on hand in the winter time. Then we made sausage, homemade sausage. That was the most important. Just so we had sausage every day. We didn't mind it.
Could you describe for us a typical sausage making day?
Well, ring sausage and we made. And we made some summer sausage. And what else? Head cheese and liverwurst. We made everything like that.
Would you just butcher with your family, or would you have several people butcher?
Sometimes we had a couple neighbors help out. Grandparents came out from town and helped along.
Do you remember how the sausage was made?
Well, not too well anymore. We had it, Ma always had the recipe, and she knew how to put the garlic and stuff like that. So it wasn't quite right, and we took a little bit out and then fried it. No, it needs some more salt and pepper or whatever, garlic. So we did it over again until it was right.
Okay.
And a little wine, that helped. It tasted so much better.
And was the wine homemade, or was that store-bought?
Sometimes, but not all the time. But usually when we butcher, we bought wine. Yeah. I think that was the fun of the day, butchering and have some wine and stuff like that. And then we had some neighbors that butchered 8 pigs at one time. And they weighed about 250 pounds. They started early in the morning till late at night. And every time when the kids come to school, they took up these, had 3-seat benches, and then they sat down and they had a syrup bucket. 3 of them, they were full of sausage, and the rest of the pails were full of bread. They ate, golly, you could tell they got fatter and fatter.
All right. And where would you keep all of the sausage and all your food when you needed to store it? Where would you keep it?
Well, before we got a deep freeze, before we stored it in the wheat. When it was cold, the wheat was cold. Then we stuck it all in the wheat and the granary. And then the hams, we put it in salt water. So it got, then it purified itself and so it didn't spoil.
Where would your family eat their meals? Where would your family eat their meals?
In the house.
In the kitchen?
Yeah, the kitchen. We had a big kitchen. It's one thing we had.
Did you have a specific seating arrangement?
Pardon?
Did you have a specific seating arrangement?
No, we always had that same spot. Yeah. Not that we couldn't have changed, but we just had the spots. I mean,
Did you have any rules at the dinner table?
no, I don't think so.
What were some of the favorite meals?
Well, when we butchered, we had a lot of the sausage. That was the main thing, the sausage. And when spring come around, and had young chickens, and then it was chicken. And then when we got a deep freezer, then we had a lot of choices.
Were there any meals that you did not like?
Not that I can say. They were all good.
What were some of the traditional German dishes that your mother made?
Oh, like strudel and what they call the other one. What else? There some more things I can't think of the name. I can't remember anymore. Cheese buttons and stuff like that.
Okay.
What they call them, the round ones. I can't remember what they call them. In German we call them Schupfnudeln.
Did your family ever make ice cream?
Oh yes, lots of it. Yeah. Our neighbor, they had a 3-gallon freezer ice cream, and then they'd call us and come over, and we're making a whole freezer full of ice cream, and we ate ice cream that our heads hurt.
What flavors would they make?
Mostly vanilla, sometimes a little chocolate in it.
What was your family's attitude towards alcohol?
Moderated.
Did your family ever make their own root beer?
Pardon?
Did your family ever make their own root beer?
Beer once in a while. But it was either they had too much yeast in it, when we opened up, we had them in a quart bottle. We had to make sure we had 2 pails over there so it wouldn't run all over. But it was good.
Okay. When you were growing up, who all lived in your house?
Well, let's see, how many were there? My brother, Walter, and Irene, and me. It's 4 of us, and the parents to start with, and later on. Well, some of them left and got a job, and then the 2 other ones came along later on.
Did anyone else ever live with you at any point? Did anyone else ever live with you at any point?
Well, the only ones that lived with us is when these people moved in with us from the spring till summer. They had no other place to go. And then they had their milk cows, so they milked about 10 cows until they found a different place. And they had 4 or 5, I'd say 5 girls. They all helped mother. It was easy for her then. And the boys helped us. And after they were done milking, then now we milked ours. That's how we took turns. Worked out all right, but I mean, we didn't want to go through a winter time with them. So it would have been a little difficult.
Okay. When did your family get electricity?
Boy, when was that? That was something when we got electricity. I know that was really like what, day and night. And we finally got electricity. It had to be in the 50s, early 50s. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. You said it was like day and night. How did this change your life?
Well, when you had electricity, you had lights, and you didn't have to use the kerosene lamp anymore. And we had a deep freezer, and electric washing machine. Made a big difference. And got more modern.
And how did you wash the clothes before you had the electric washer?
Well, sometimes I washed it by hand with a washboard.
And whose job was it to do laundry?
Huh?
Whose job was it to do laundry?
Mother. It wasn't easy.
And how often would she do it?
Well, I don't know. I think 3 times a week, for sure.
And where would she hang up her?
Out in the out in the line. Let the wind dry them.
And what about during the winter?
Well, she did the same thing, but they kind of froze together. And after you brought them in, they dried out. It smelled so clean.
Did your family have a radio?
Yeah, that's about all we had. That was the main thing. On Sunday nights when three programs came on, we were all done with the chores and hurry up, get into the house so we could listen to the programs. Like Chuck Benny and all this kind of stuff. The Kings, and the Amos and the Andy.
How important was religion during your childhood?
Like modern. If it was storming, then we probably didn't make it to church or sometimes like that.
What denomination were you raised?
Huh?
What denomination were you raised? What type of church did you go to?
Lutheran church.
Were there any religious activities that you participated in growing up?
Very little out in the church. Until we got to town, then it changed. Then I was in it with some of them.
Okay. Was there anything that your parents restricted because of religion?
Not really.
Were you baptized or confirmed?
Yep.
Did you learn confirmation in German or English?
I went to German then, and after that I went English. And I forgot all about the German.
Did you have to go somewhere and board to go to confirmation?
No. We grouped together and then drove to town and back home again.
When you went to church, was it a German in church or English?
We did have German and English together one time. Mostly German in the beginning, and then later on it was a mixed. I'd have English and then German once in a while. Then pretty soon it went all English.
And how long did your church services usually last?
An hour. Then they started looking at the watch.
What were the seating arrangements?
Huh?
What were the seating arrangements like?
Women sat on this side and the men on that side. And the young boys had to sit up front. And when you were confirmed, then they got to sit in the back benches. And if the ones up front, and if they didn't behave, they got hit on the head back there. Behave. Didn't care who did it. It meant business.
Where was the nearest church to you?
Well, both of our churches were close. I think the one out east or west of 8 miles, and the one a mile south was the closest one. And then up there, that was about a half a mile. Had to walk to that all the time to make fire, keep it warm.
Could you kind of describe both of the churches for us?
Well, this one out here was a little smaller than the one. That was a big church up there. All I can remember, that little one, for Christmas one night, we used to have them candles, and they lit them. And well, the sermon was going on, and then finally it caught fire. Boy, then they all got, some of them got, the men got up, they grabbed their coats, whatever they had, and they threw it all over the Christmas tree. And by God, they got it all out. But if they couldn't have done that, boy, the church would have burned down. Then we kept our program going.
Did you ever have church programs for Christmas?
Christmas programs, yeah, we did. Then we all got a bag, Christmas bag with everything in it. That's what's the main thing. Had to say the verse. If you said a good one, you got a bigger bag.
What types of things were in your bags?
Apple, peanuts, candy, and some other things that were in there. I can't remember just how all of them. Orange.
What else did your family do for Christmas?
I can't remember too much of that.
Did you ever get any presents at home?
Oh, yeah. Pass presents back and forth. One time we got a nice set, me and my brother, with a barn and all this hard paper with the cattle and all that, and we made a board on top of our bed, and we set it up. And then we get company, some kids come, they wanted to play, and we wouldn't let them play it. That was up there for us.
Did your family celebrate Easter?
Yeah, and Easter Monday, there was they call it the Easter Monday dance. That's where a lot of them went. They couldn't wait till Lent was over, and then the Easter Monday, then they went to the dance. And we did too.
And where were the dances usually held?
Bernstedt and Napoleon. That's where the dances were. Sealand. Everybody had a ball then. Didn't go to a dance for how long was Lent? About 5, 6 weeks, something like that. And then they tore loose.
What type of music would they play at the dances?
Old time stuff. Waltzes and polkas and two-steps, all that stuff. Like Lawrence Welk deal.
Did your family celebrate the 4th of July?
Yeah. Yeah, that was 4th of July. We got, I don't know, what did we got, $1, I think. And then we had firecrackers and pop and hot dogs, and when we came home, we still had a nickel left.
Did you ever celebrate New Year's?
Yeah, celebrate New Year's too.
What would you do?
Not so much with the folks, but I mean after we grew up on our own. Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite holiday?
I would say New Year's Eve. There's about New Year's Day. That's the best time, I would say.
And why did you like New Year's Day?
Well, you went out, there was dances and stuff like that. Then at midnight I had a blew the fire whistles and stuff like that, and firecrackers, whatever.
You mentioned you went dancing for holidays. Did you go dancing just during the year for no particular reason?
Well, they always had bands years ago. I mean, on Tuesday and Monday nights they used to have dances, and we went to those. Not all the time, but most of the time.
What were some of your favorite dances?
Well, you mean music, right?
Styles and music?
Oh, usually waltzes and two-steps. At that time there were a lot of different orchestras. 6-piece, 8-piece band.
How did some of the, like your parents and the older generation, how did they view some of these dances?
They didn't go just too much, but I mean, later on they went after. We grew up and then they went. Time changed and that's why they went then.
Okay. Could you please describe the Dirty 30s for us?
Dry. Dust blowing like crazy. That was for about 3 years or 4 years in a row like that. And with feed and stuff for cattle, we had to make thistles, cut thistles. Then there was the green ones, we called them alfalfa almost. And the dry ones, man, were they tough. They had to tramp them into the box and unload them at home. Oh boy, I'll tell you. And then you fed them to the cattle. And the green ones weren't too bad, but I meant the dry ones, but the cattle just lost weight. I mean, but they just had diarrhea so bad, I think it was unreal. And we did lose cattle. Yeah, and until things got better a little bit, then boy, that was much better then. Then I could mix some like oats. We got a little oats, and then we mixed the thistles and that stuff together. Then there was a better feed.
Okay. How did the Depression affect your family?
The price?
The Dirty 30s and the Depression, how did it affect your family?
Well, I don't know. They took it from day to day. I mean, so I mean, they had like when they were in town and they bought flour, stuff like sugar, and we supplied pretty good. So the baking did a lot, helped a lot, and stuff like that.
Okay.
We never went hungry.
Did you ever experience any dust storms?
Yeah. When we used to come in here for confirmation, that was 10 miles, and sometimes you didn't even see the road. That's how bad it was. Early in the morning already. Wind wouldn't let up all day long. God, that was really something.
Would you wait to go back home, or would you try to get through
Well,
it?
we went home anyway, but we had to drive slow, and where it was bad, we just had to stop a little bit until the wind let up a little bit, then go again. I mean, because you couldn't see a car come or anything. Well, they had the lights on though.
Did you ever experience any problems with grasshoppers or jackrabbits?
Grasshoppers one time, they were bad. But the chickens liked that. When you came home from the field and the header box was just packed with grasshoppers. I mean, the chickens already come running already when we come home with the header box. And we slowed up and then grasshoppers fell down and them chickens, oh, they just ate that up.
Did anyone in your family take advantage of any of the government programs?
Very little, very little. We tried to get as by as much as we could without borrowing money or anything like that.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the Dirty 30s?
Oh, not too much anymore. Things got better after about 4 years.
ask you about the environment in general, growing up on the plains.
Pardon?
So I'm going to switch to environment
Okay.
and ask you about growing up. What was it like growing up on the plains out here?
Not too bad. I can't complain too bad about it. There's things that we wish we would have had, but we couldn't have it because we know there was nothing. I mean, there was no money. I mean, they tried their best otherwise. I mean,
What did you find enjoyable or beautiful about growing up in this area?
I don't know. How should I say that? Can't tell you for sure. I mean,
Okay. Was there anything that was bleak or unpleasant about growing up out here?
well, I suppose you had your days. And sometimes, if you didn't have any money, you had to go out and we worked for folks, and sometimes you got a dad said go and find a job. I mean, I'm not saying how long, but I mean just a couple of days so you had some money. Then he wouldn't have to give us anything. When we went out and worked, they always let us have the money that we earned. Never had to give anything back. But a lot of people, kids had to give it to home.
Did you miss not having very many trees around?
Well, I like trees. I mean, sometimes they make a big mess in the fall, cleaning lawns up and stuff like that.
What were winters typically like for you?
Huh?
What were winters typically like for you growing up?
Well, like I said, when the road's blocked, then you were spent time at home. Till we got the roads open again, and then we went to places for a while, and the roads were blocked again, you stayed home again. We always prepared for the blizzards, so we had barns full of hay and all that stuff for the cattle, so we didn't have to do that when the storm was on.
What was a typical fall like for you?
That was nice, we liked that.
What were some of the things that you did during the fall?
Well, get ready for the winter.
What were summers typically like for you?
There was always something in summertime, if we had a chance to get out.
And how about spring?
Spring was a little tougher. Okay, let's stick around and get the crop out and all that stuff.
What was your favorite season?
Fall.
Why was it your favorite?
Well, when we got everything lined, the hay home and all that stuff, and then it was a little easier.
What was your most stressful childhood memory?
And things were tough and didn't have no money. And we went through that a lot.
What is your happiest childhood memory?
My happiest? When you don't have no worries. Or don't even think about.
What was the most adventurous thing you did during your childhood?
Well, when we were younger, me and Walter, my brother, and then my uncle had a filling station up along the road. But 8 miles west here. And so he'd always come down to my folks and ate. I mean, my mother always cooked for him, and then me and Robert had to watch the station. So then they used to fill gas out there, and then there was a pipe sticking out where they put the gas in. And we looked in, we couldn't see in. So we lit a match. And it went poof. I mean, not bad, but we slept that thing shut, and we started running and running and running. And we turned around and looked, it was still there. God. That didn't help us. We still didn't see that. Oh, what an experience when that was. We learned that was a lesson. It was just the fumes that lit, but and I think if the match would have fell down, it would have went out anyway. But it was a funny deal. But we didn't tell anybody. If that thing station would have blew up, we would have never said anything. What happened?
Are there any other childhood memories you'd like to add?
God, I don't know anymore.
Okay. Why do you think it's important to tell your story?
Well, I don't know. Maybe later on, it's nice that you can go look back what you went through and all that.
Are there any other thoughts or observations that you'd like to share with us today?
I don't think so, I think.
All right. Well, thank you very much for
Yep.
sitting down with us.
Well, thank you.